Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is that you are listening, folks. Thank you very, very much for listening. Date today is the 29th of July, year of our Lord 2024. Year of our Lord 2024. Welcome to yet another edition of the Gulping Hour, hosted by Nicholas Hinkle, aka Motown Noah. Got a fun show for you guys today. My vibes were through the roof like 30 minutes ago. I was really, really excited to get today's show in the can. And then I made dinner. And I feel horrible. Feel bad right now. And why don't I explain to you guys why? Because it does matter. And it honest to God, may disrupt the flow of today's episode. Because we just had a busy day, and so we were just, the missus and I, we were just like, let's just do our own thing for dinner. Like, that's okay. So I made her some chicken tenders and some, with some little barbecue sauce on the side. And then I made some hot dogs. I'll put a picture of it up on the screen. Made some hot dogs, right? And we had just gone to Target earlier today, and they had Arby's fries. And as somebody I've talked to you guys recently about how, like, I've just had a really hard time eating. I saw Arby's fries, and I was like, I could eat those. So we, boom, hooked that shit up. And so I'm like, whoa, so what am I going to do for dinner? I'm like, I'm going to do hot dogs, Arby's fries, and a Coors Light. I feel horrible. I feel really, really bad. So if there is a point in this episode where, like, I know it's not uncommon for me to cut stuff out, and sometimes there is like a little bit of a jump, but it doesn't entirely disrupt the flow of the, I'm just letting you know if there is a point in this episode where there's a hard cut and I'm suddenly just talking about something else. What happened behind the scenes is I frantically stopped recording and ran to the bathroom because I feel really, really bad. But what's been going on today, man? What's been going on this weekend? I gotta tell you, dude, the Olympics, are they back? Are they there? First of all, they are back. The Summer Olympics are officially underway in France. The opening ceremonies. Let's talk about it. We're gonna spend a lot of time today talking about the Olympics because watching LeBron be a flag bearer for the United States and becoming a real life Renaissance photo at the front of that ship in the river in front of the Eiffel Tower. That was somehow both the funniest thing I've ever seen and also the coolest thing I've ever seen, because it is easy for me. I've been pretty honest about, like, yeah, you know, I really want to watch Team USA in the Olympics this year. Sorry, in basketball specifically. Like, I really want to, but like, I'm just not going to. But there was something about LeBron holding the flag, and it was, you know, this big grand moment for the opening ceremonies at the Olympics that it clicked with me. I was like, you're never going to see that again, Nick. You will never see LeBron in the Olympics again. You're never going to see Steph in the Olympics again, by the way. It's first time in it, but you're never going to see it again. You're never going to see Kevin Durant in the Olympics again. Dude, you need to lock in. Like, LeBron holding the flag legit was like a wake-up call for me of sorts. As funny as it was and as cool as that photo will be, like, immortalized in the pages of NBA history. I know it doesn't pertain to the NBA, but you know what I mean. Like, we're always going to look back at that. People are going to somehow shoehorn that shit into the GOAT debates if they have not done that already. As a quick side note, I don't want to forget to mention this just while we're talking about international basketball as it pertains to the United States. The women's team has won 55 straight in Olympic play. What? I believe that, but do you realize what that means in terms of when the last time they lost was? The semifinals of the 1992 Olympics in Barcelona, the same year as the Dream Team, by the way. The last time that the United States women's team lost a game in Olympic play was in 1992. Do you know how many of you listening to this program right now were live in 1992? Sub 10% of you. So if you're in that 10%, good for you. Do you remember that? What was that like? Whoa, the United States toppled in Barcelona. Pandemonium in Spain is probably what the headlines were. Could you imagine what the shit that they say about women's basketball in 2024? Could you imagine what they were saying in 1992? Jesus Christ. I thought that was fun. But, dude, today we wake up and, like, we had some errands to run. Like I said, we run to Target and we come back. And she's going to put Peacock on. I thought she was just putting on, like, Parks and Rec or The Office or something. She puts on Gold Zone. I said, what the hell is Gold Zone? What is this? If you haven't seen this and you haven't heard about this, folks out there, Gold Zone, which is a channel available, it's like I guess it's a channel, available on Peacock during the events while they're happening in Paris. It's just Scott Hansen, yes, the Scott Hansen, the voice of NFL Red Zone, just like taking you around the country, or around the city rather, from like event to event, going like quad box. So you got gymnastics, you got badminton, you got fencing, and you got Olympic soccer. And he's just like going around the horn. Dog, we spent like, we dumped 3-4 hours into just watching different Olympic events today. Truthfully, dude, it's the first time since maybe 2012 since I've really locked in that way and just was like, let's just watch it, man. What's going on in these Olympics? I don't know the last time I had that much fun just watching TV. Honestly, it was fun, and it in a lot of ways reinvigorated my love for the Olympics. Not that there was a previous love for the Olympics, but just that I was like, dude, this event is cool. Like, it's just awesome. The whole summer versus winter Olympics thing, I will always lean summer. There's not, to me, one thing in the Winter Olympics that I care about. Well, curling's cool. Curling is cool. Olympic hockey is fun. It just disrupts the flow of the NHL season in a way that I find annoying, which is not a fair criticism at all. That's just me being dumb. But it's nonetheless still something that bothers me. And then what else is there? Like, I don't like snowboarding's cool, but I don't care. Skiing's cool. I don't care. What's the bobsled? That's cool because people can die. There's like consequence. There's like stakes to it, and people can die in anything. But you know what I mean? I'm not rooting for anybody to die, but it feels very high pressure, right? And so that's fun. I'm saying all of this just to say I don't actually care about the Winter Olympics at all. And this is what, to me, puts asses in seats. So, dude, like we're watching the U.S. kick the doors in of Germany. That one ended 3-1. That one was fun. Watched it in soccer, and then watched a little bit of was it Canada versus France? And I don't know if you guys know this out there. So the women's Canadian team in soccer was just like they're in the middle of a huge scandal. Their manager was using a drone to spy on. I don't know if it was like everyone or if it was just France specifically because that's who they're playing. I didn't read too much into the details. So then their manager got expelled from the Olympics. So you can't, you're gone. And then Canada was also deducted, I believe, 6 points in group play. So if they had lost to France today, it was wraps, right? So they go and it's like 1-1 into the 90th, right? And first of all, 13 minutes get added. What the fuck? Now, Maddie, my girlfriend, she played soccer in like a very, very real way. Okay, so this is like if there's anything that you can like you cannot talk to her about, it's that, right? Because she knows, like that's what she really, really knows. And she's like, it's not that crazy that they added 13 minutes. I was like, you don't need to explain to me like how they get there and like how that number is determined. But 13, I don't care if there's not, we don't do overtime or like PKs this early in the group stage. 13 minutes, you're out of your fucking mind. I don't know what we were doing for the first 90 that 13 minutes were able to be added on. If that happened in a World Cup game, which surely it has before, I would lose my fucking mind. Dog, Canada in like 12 minutes into that 13 minutes of extra time scores. They score and like it's alive and the dream for Canada is alive. They're not knocked out of the Olympics. It's shit like that, dude. And I'm watching this Egyptian dude against like a Hungarian dude in fencing. I couldn't tell you a damn thing about how fencing works. And by the way, that's what I really appreciated about Scott Hansen's coverage of this event was he was like, folks, I'm actually learning how this fucking sport works in real time just as much as you are. So I'm not going to say anything and we're just going to cut to the actual broadcast so people can explain it to you. But it was electric, and like this fencing is awesome, and we do have a fencing email that we're gonna get to in just a little bit. But let me just stay on this, man. What else am I watching? Olympic surfing, the craziest shit I've ever seen in my life. Maybe tuned in for about 5 minutes, right? But Olympic surfing is basically this: you fuck around in the water for 20 minutes until like a really gnarly wave shows up. That's it, and then you like do some cool shit on your board, and that's it. That's it. You just like wait. It's just a lot of waiting around. And so Gold Zone didn't spend too much time on it. Folks, I really got to tell you, check in on Gold Zone. Okay. The day that this episode is going to release, Monday, the 29th of July, I live in Central Time. The Gold Zone coverage, I believe, will start at 6 o'clock in the morning. So we got an email, I think it was maybe like a week or so ago. Wasn't the dude saying, I think he was from England, and he was like, hey, I'm excited for Americans to like figure out what it's like to have to watch all this shit at like an absurd time. And well, that's happening now. That's happening. And now, luckily for me, it's like I'm going to be awake anyways with a 3-month-old. So it's like I will just put on Gold Zone and let Scott Hansen whisper sweet nothings into my ear for 10 hours and just watch the motherfuckers win gold medals. I got to tell you, did the United States sneaky figure out an infinite medal glitch? Because the gold medal for women's fencing was an American versus an American. That's 2 medals. I don't give a shit who wins. That's 2 medals. We're out of here. As of this recording, the United States is leading the medal count by 4. At the risk of sounding like an asshole, No, fuck that. It's the Olympics. This is like what this is for. I love being number one. I love being number one. Oh my God, it feels so good. I'm watching swimming. I got to tell you, dude. Now, a lot of you out here, I'm going to say this and it's going to just, you're in one ear, right out the other. And you're like, duh, obviously that's the case. I was recently made aware of how many people there truly are out there that don't realize that swimmers might be sneaky one of the, if not the best athletes at the Olympics, period. These dudes are fucking chiseled. The men and women, they're built. Like, this is just what they do. Although we were making a comment. I don't know if this is something I should say on the show, but we were looking at, they're like going back and forth between the men and the women. And it was interesting that even though the women were like just as fast and just as successful as the men, it was like the men are more refined. Like you see the muscle tone in them, but with the women, you just didn't see it as much. But like it's the same picture and they're just as good at that shit. Like Katie Ledecky is washing like, I don't know about 90% of men, but like most men and washing shit like that, right? And then who is the other one that they got? We were just, I don't remember her name. And the worst part about it, can I tell you something? I don't know if we have any swimmers out there. Surely there's like a couple of you who listen to this and, you know, in high school, that was like your deal. You were a swimmer. Fucking hated them. All of them. Anybody that I knew in high school specifically that was a swimmer, the worst person. The most annoying person in the world. But damn, are they just the absolute best athletes, the pinnacle of athletes. And then what else was going on? The controversy surrounding beach volleyball. I don't know if you guys saw this or heard about this, but dude was having a meltdown in the Bill Simmons subreddit the other day because they changed like the outfitting policies of beach volleyball for women. And so now if you want to wear leggings, you can wear leggings, which is the reasons for that are probably obvious. And this dude is like going off about, whoa, but it detracts from the viewer experience. And like, what are the Olympics if not for the viewer? And I was like, and not just me, but everybody was like, huh? Pal, you're the reason that they that they switched to leggings. I'm having a blast. I'm having so much fun. Badminton was cool. I don't really care that much. Didn't care that much about it. Soccer was fun, and I want to read an email that we got about soccer in like advanced analytical terms, because I had mentioned, I think in passing in the last episode, something about how, you know, it's one thing for people to go up on a podcast and bullshit about advanced analytics and like certain buzzwords as it pertains to the NBA or like the NFL, and just how that always just rubs me the wrong way. And then I was like, what even would those be for soccer? And I couldn't think of anything at all. I was like, it's a total blind spot for me. I don't even know, like, what are the buzzwords that you use? A lot of you were helpful and you taught me some. We got an email here from Alden. Alden, welcome to the show. copingoursubs@gmail.com, spelled phonetically. Email will be available in the description wherever you listen to this program. Alden, welcome to the show. Hey, Nick, writing to share my knowledge of analytical soccer terminology. XG is expected goals or a measure of big chances. 0.9 is a really good chance, a tap in you should score, and 0.1 would be like a 30 to 35 yarder that has a snowball's chance in hell. Which, by the way, one of the women for... who was the United States playing? Germany knocked one in today. It was awesome. It's kind of, I don't know if it was 30, 35 feet, but, 30, 35 yards. But anyway, sorry, back to the email here. Inverted fullbacks. People love talking about this like it's Pep's greatest X's and O's coup. It's one piece of the space revolution that's been going on in soccer since the 70s to the 2010s, depending on who you ask. Pass completion stats, flawed way to value players too small of a piece to the overall picture. And there are 10 million more. What the fuck is field tilt is my question. No one has answered that for me yet. What the hell is field tilt? Somebody said that in a comment and I asked them. I was like, what is that? Nobody's gotten back to me. What are these terms? None of these are real. Expected goals make sense. And so then I'm watching soccer and it happened again where I was like, this sport rules. I was like, this is fun to watch. And I just, from an athletic standpoint, I just really admire these players. And we were watching the women's team. And, then I started thinking about James Madison, because for those of you out there who don't know, James Madison is my guy. Was my guy, actually, formerly my guy. I don't give a shit about him anymore because he went to Tottenham, but he was my king at that. And then it's like, okay, so Nick, so who can you name? What team can you name the most international players from? It's not the U.S. It would be England. It would be Harry Kane, obviously. Of course, Gareth Southgate. James Madison he does get to play on the international team. That's probably, maybe if I looked at the roster, I could maybe name a few more, but that's about it. So it was, I don't know why I brought up James Madison there. Fucking love the guy, but the Tottenham thing always bothered me. And I think I'm trying to rack my brain of all of it. I really try to give you guys soccer segments. I don't know if it's worth it when I just half-ass them. And I also just don't know. But a memory popped up in my head the other day because Family Guy, like randomly, we were watching an episode of Family Guy and they like randomly did a cutaway of a Landon Donovan game winner that he had in, maybe the 2014, when would I don't know, 2014 World Cup would have happened. 06, 08, 12, 16. Wait. So it would have been 12. So it would have been the 2012. What the fuck? That does not make sense. The Olympics do not happen at the same time as didn't the Olympics, they've been thrown off their cycle since, right? Because of COVID. So my brain's not getting fucked up here. So that would have made sense. The 2012 World Cup. Landon Donovan had a game winner against somebody. It was like maybe Albania or something. And then I've never told this story before, actually. It must have been that year that we ended up losing to Ghana. And it was at a time where recording yourself reacting to a heartbreaking win or a heartbreaking loss was like new. Like that content was new in the YouTube landscape. And me being maybe 13, 14 years old at the time, I had a really shitty little video camera that I'd always just shoot little movies on. And I recorded myself in a very overdramatic way reacting to the United States loss against Ghana. And I'm full on like surrender cobraing. And I remember so vividly being like, who is Ghana? Who is Ghana? Nobody knows who Ghana is. And then as fate would have it, like 10 years later, one of the best people I ever knew in my life was actually Ghanan. So how did that one end up working out for me? And then you know what else I was wondering? Because you think about like all-time United States keepers for men or women. And we were talking about this earlier because I was like, what do you think Hope Solo is doing these days? Like, what does she do? Because maybe she does TV. I guess it wouldn't surprise me if she did TV, but doesn't it make more sense if she was in like the Caymans or something and she was just like a soccer coach down there and she's been like estranged from American society because we learned that she actually maybe wasn't the best person in the world? Because you look at a dude like Tim Howard, right? And he does, not only does he do TV, but it's like Sunday morning for the Premier League, and whatever the match of the week is, like Tim Howard is boots on the ground, like doing he's on the pitch, he's talking about the game. So shout out to Tim Howard. That was soccer. That was no, it's not. We're not done yet. Where are some more? Where does Willian play? Is Willian still in that? I don't know. Surely he's not. David Luiz probably also retired years ago. To me, David Luiz and Anderson Varejão were always the same person, which, as I'm saying in real time, actually makes sense because they were both Brazilian, right? So it's just a hair thing is really all that it was. And Anderson Varejão, Anderson Varejão plays his entire career as a Cleveland Cavalier. He's one of those dudes that very lost art of NBA player who you're like, yeah, he just always played with that team. That's not a brand new take. I guess the way that I framed that made it sound like it was going to be more profound, but obviously players jump around more these days. Anderson Varejão, a Cav his whole career, and then goes to Golden State, and it's like bizarre. And then was it the inverse of it? Like Andrew Bogut went to Cleveland, but not really, because he smoked his knee within the first like 15 seconds of him stepping on the court, and then he just like never played basketball again. Folks, I'm having a blast. An absolute blast watching the Olympics. Alrighty, folks, that was a brief cut. That was a very, very hard record scratch freeze frame. Why did we just switch what Nick was talking about? I am furious. I'm furious right now because originally when the video cut, it was actually just because the camera stopped recording. I know I said, stop, don't go to the comments. I know I said at the beginning of the show that if there's a hard cut in today's episode, it means that I went and had diarrhea. That is not what just happened. I did not fucking have diarrhea. I just spent the last like 50 minutes recording the show like normally. I knew that the camera stopped. I picked it back up, And I did the rest of the fucking show, went to put it all into Premiere, and realized that for the second part of it, after the camera stopped, I did not check the mic. The wrong microphone was plugged in. It was completely unlistenable. I was not having diarrhea for the last 50 minutes, okay? That is not what just happened. For you, it's only been a minute since it just cut, and you're like, dude, you just got really abrasive for no reason. I'm fucking mad because I crushed today, okay? This show ruled. The second it ended, I was like, this was one of the better episodes I've done in a while, and now I have to I literally verbatim have to do all of it again. I was not having diarrhea, okay? That is not what just happened. So instead, I have to be like, now I have to just get back into the mechanics of the show and literally do every single email, literally do every single take, and try to make it sound organic, even though in my head, I'm like, no, I'm actually just trying to say all of the same shit, okay? It wasn't diarrhea, okay? All right? That's not what just fucking happened. So what was I talking about? Oh, the U.S. men's team in Olympic basketball. Yeah, it's been pretty fun. Jason Tatum getting a DNP is hilarious, even though it was just one game. And yes, that's not going to be the norm. It's not going to be constant. He and Halliburton each logged 0 minutes. Surely somewhere out there, Jaylen Brown is, pumping his fist and hitting the silencer in his living room somewhere, watching Jason Tatum log 0 minutes in the first actual game of the Olympics for the United States. Although I gotta say, maybe, hey, if you're on team, Jaylen Brown might be kind of a dumb guy, like just like a little dumb. I think you got a point on the board today, because I think maybe we should. I don't know if you heard this, and I don't know if you saw this or heard about this rather. So in a recent interview on the Dan Patrick Show, Grant Hill, for those of you who do not know, is like the president of ops for Team USA basketball. Grant Hill addressed the decision to exclude Jaylen Brown from this year's Team USA squad, opting instead for his teammate Derek White. Hill emphasized that the decision was purely based on basketball considerations, and the following is a quote from Grant Hill. I spoke to his agent. I don't know if that was before or after things went down on Twitter, but yeah, I think this idea that there's a conspiracy theory, I always love a good conspiracy theory, but it was really truly just a basketball decision, and those are tough decisions. But having gone through this with the FIBA competition, you want to find the right balance and the right pieces on the court that we needed. Not to say that we wouldn't have been good with Jaylen Brown. There's just a lot of guys that you can go off of, a list of guys who are very capable and very, very qualified. But, for where we were, it was the right decision. Derek White, I think, will help us as we pursue gold. Jaylen Brown's response to this was to go to Twitter and say, Grant Hill calling me a conspiracy theorist is disappointing. I've been a VP since I was 21 years old. I have a great understanding. Jaylen Brown, I've been a podcaster since I was like 18 years old. Go listen to Friday's episode. I can have some bad days. I can have some bad takes in front of a microphone, right? Like, it happens. I just don't... First of all, he didn't call you a conspiracy theorist. I would say it is certainly a conspiracy that you were like, because here's my thing, man. You go to Cal Berkeley for 2 semesters, and if it's like social shit, I want to hear from Jaylen Brown, because he has that perspective that warrants you listening to it, right? Because it's very raw, it's very authentic, and as a black man in America, especially living in the city of Boston, he certainly has that perspective, and he is worth listening to. Anything else, I don't want to fucking hear from him. I don't want to hear from Jaylen Brown, because whether it's this or whether it's him being like, did Dr. James Naismith really invent basketball, or did we culture vulture the Mayans? All right. Maybe we did, Jaylen Brown. I don't fucking know. Now, to be fair, to give him some credit here, in a vacuum, yes, it is pretty wild that both the Eastern Conference Finals MVP and the Finals MVP was left off of the Team USA roster. That is pretty crazy. But it's not, because maybe his vibes are just bad. I don't know if you guys have kind of gotten this too from like the meltdown that he's had over this. Maybe people just don't want to, maybe people just, which is a pretty hefty leap to make there, to just try and get inside of his head and all of his teammates' head and be like, maybe his vibes are just bad. But like, I don't know. I've been a VP since I was 21 years old. Who gives a shit? Jaylen Brown? Who gives a shit? But otherwise, Team USA has been awesome. They're awesome. Kevin Durant saving the day. Steph Curry, like, dude, just getting to watch these dudes, like I mentioned at the beginning, it's the last time you're ever going to see LeBron in the Olympics. Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, you're never going to see these guys in the Olympics again. Folks, I am begging you. It's okay if you don't care about the Olympics this year, right? Which, matter of fact, we got an email and we'll get to that in just a second. But, like, you're never going to see this again. And Kevin Durant absolutely dominated today. Him and LeBron against Serbia went like a combined 17 for 22. Kevin Durant won the first half for the United States. It has been an absolute blast. And again, dude, across the board, the Olympics for me have just been fun. It's been one day that I actually watched it, but it was more fun that I had, watching 3 hours of sports than I did at any point during the NBA season. And that's right. There's the take, and I'm gonna stick to it. But we did get an email here. For as much as I'm enjoying the Olympics, we got someone who maybe isn't as much. This one comes into us from Elliot. copingoursubs@gmail.com, spelled phonetically. Email available in the description wherever you listen to this program. Subject line: why do the Olympics suck now? Elliot says, I was watching the Olympic ceremony today and I was not pleased. I've heard people talk about this, but it was the first time that I've experienced it. The Olympics have lost their magic. Since COVID, the Olympics have not been the same heroic experience of peak athleticism. Why do you think that is? I have great memories growing up watching the Olympics. I can't even feel nostalgia watching them anymore. The only thing that I'm interested in is watching basketball, and that's propped up by the NBA. Curious to hear your thoughts. Are you excited for any Olympic events besides basketball? Well, Elliot, the first 20 minutes of the show has just been me being like, I love the Olympics. This is awesome. I'm having so much fun. It's not even about like there being a specific event that I was like excited to watch. I guess maybe now I'm just like, what's going on with fencing? I'm just dialed in on fencing. This shit is awesome. I think there are two parts to this, Elliot. You mentioned they're like, man, it's not as fun as as it was when I was growing up. Yeah, dude, you got older. You're probably around my age, right? I'm 26. You're probably somewhere, give or take like 4 or 5 years. You're somewhere in there, I'm sure, right? You got older. Shit gets lamer when you're older. That's all that it is. Now, you said you don't feel nostalgia for it, and if you were feeling nostalgia for it, I would definitely be right here. But maybe I'm wrong. Okay, so what could the other part of this be? Well, we certainly are oversaturated with athleticism these days. It is not so hard to just like go on YouTube and be like, who's the best in the world at this thing? World record, this thing. And there's just the drop of a hat, you can just see it. Where like, especially before the internet, when it was like this was the spectacle and it wasn't as, as accessible to watch all of these people in their respective arenas as it is in 2024. Sure, that also plays a part of it. But you're, again, probably around my age, so you've always been around for like the internet. I'm going to just lean towards, like, I think you just got a little older and it's just not the appeal of it, the spectacle of it. Now, as far as the opening ceremony, if that's really all that your complaint is here, fair. I'll give you that because I don't know. Because I don't know about the, what do I know about the opening ceremony this year? The Minions stole the Mona Lisa. That happened. There was like the Marie Antoinette holding her severed head. That was a thing. And then LeBron holding the flag. That was awesome. All of that was awesome. Except the Minions thing. And then the Marie Antoinette thing I didn't care that much about either. But the LeBron thing ruled. If you were like a 9-year-old, this opening ceremony fucking kicked ass. It rocked super hard. But otherwise, I don't know. I don't know, because the flip side for me is, again, I very much feel reinvigorated, for the next, 2 weeks. Like I mentioned, if there's a time for me to be like, USA, folks, get on your soapbox, hit the silencer, pound your chest, do the chant, right? This is not the time for us to be like, I don't know, America, like kind of a dark past. Fuck that. For the next 2 weeks, fuck that. I don't care about the election. I don't care about anything else. I want to watch motherfuckers surf. I want to watch them fence. I want to watch them play soccer. I want to watch them play badminton. I want to watch them do everything. I want to watch America win all of this. Everything. All right? And brother, I hope you join me. I hope you suck it up a little bit, and I hope you just lock in and you say, you know what, man, Nick is really excited about the Olympics, and so I'm gonna just chill out a little bit. And I'm just gonna watch some Olympics. Maybe have a beer, cause it's fun. It's fun. I'm sorry, man. I don't know. I'm sorry that you're not having fun. I'm bummed out about that. Hey, and then another one that we got as it pertains to the Olympics. This is definitely one of those ones where I'm kind of passing the mic to you guys on it a little bit. This one comes into us from Christian. Subject line, Olympic multi-sport athletes. Hi, Nick. Watching the Olympics today, and fencing came on. I have no idea how the scoring really works, but I imagine having a long wingspan is an advantage in fencing, as long as you can reach the other person's body without putting yours at risk. Which made me think, should France just put Victor Wembanyama in at fencing and just let him stand there with his arms all extended and reached out? What athletes would be good at other Olympic sports that only get attention every 4 years at the Olympics? Again, Victor Wembanyama with handball just reaching above everybody else to throw it in. Yeah, that one's going to be easy. You can plug and play Victor Wembanyama at probably like any of these, of course, with the exception of, like gymnastics and stuff like that. What do you need for swimming? Do you want a wingspan or do you want to be like compact? I don't know what's better for it. So maybe, I don't know, maybe not that. I don't know. My thing is this, and I apologize. So this is another thing I meant to say at the beginning of this second part where I already recorded the entire show and now I have to fucking record it again. I apologize if I do repeat myself because I don't remember what was in the first part and then what was in the part that got fucked up and that I now have to say again. So if there is some overlap with that, I do apologize, and I like say a joke that you're like, didn't you just say that 40 minutes ago? So I apologize if that happens. My question is this. Sorry, this doesn't answer the email literally at all. Where the fuck is flag football? Where is it? Huh? Because I can sit here and I can talk about like an infinite metal glitch and how the United States like weasels their way into having 2 Americans in the gold medal fence off, which just rules. First of all, if and when they add flag football in the Olympics, which either is a thing, right? Fuck it. I don't care if they said that that's not actually going to happen. I'm just going to pretend that it is. First of all, why would they let that happen? Because everyone is just going to get their asses kicked. Second of all, who even is silver? You are not touching the United States in flag football. Some of you out there are going to be like, who gives a shit about American football? America. That's my point. That's what I'm saying here. Because, like, sure, Japan, they got some flag leagues. They got some contact leagues. Italy, they got flag leagues. They got contact leagues. Oh, Nick, the CFL, you ever heard of it? I'll give you Canada. All right, you're right. I'll give you Canada for the silver, for sure. For sure. Where are most of those players coming from, though, in the CFL? Are they mostly Canadian? No, they're not. They're not Canadian. The data on that would actually be interesting. I'm saying that blindly. I have no idea. But the odds are that they are not mostly Canadian, if not, like, the CFL... Can I just... Do you think if I ask Siri, she'll know? I don't think she'll be able to pull that data. Siri... Here's a take about Apple. Siri just kind of got lost in the pages of like artificial intelligent like helper. 10 years ago, Siri was the coolest shit in the world, and now Siri doesn't know dick or balls. Hey Siri, what percentage of the Canadian Football League is actually Canadian?
Here's what I found.
No, this is not real. That's not real data. You can't even be too wordy with Siri. Siri is like Google. If you type too many words, Google's like, you fucking lost me. If I went to Google that same question, I would have to Google like CFL Canadian percentage or some bullshit like that. And clearly that would take too long for me to do that. But I'm just saying, you really want Patrick Mahomes throwing checkdowns to Tyreek, throwing fades to Tyreek Hill against like some motherfuckers from the Himalayas. I mean, I want to see that because it'd be hilarious. It'd be incredible. I bet there's some people in England right now being like, oh, be careful what you wish for. I kind of, I didn't commit to the accent there. It went into it thinking I'm going to do it, and then I didn't do it. But the point that I was trying to make was, hey, man, just because you invented a sport doesn't mean that it's going to come home. You know what I mean? You guys have been getting your ass kicked for how long in the World Cup and, like, UEFA? Hey, what's the deal with, not to sound like Jerry Seinfeld, what's the deal? I'm going to move on. Hey, you want to do an email about, no, stay on the Olympics. Stay on the Olympics. I really am trying to figure, my whole rhythm is fucked up. Guys, you don't understand. The show was literally the best show that I've done in so long. And the fact that it's ruined, and I now have to, and I just can't just try to replicate it because it feels so disingenuous, and I'm only powering through because you guys deserve a Monday show. If this was 50 episodes earlier, I would have punted. I would have said, fuck it, we're just going to wait until Friday. I don't care. But I need to hold myself accountable here and just do the show. I'm just letting you know it's really bothering me because I crushed for an hour and change. And now I have to reset. So let's do another email. This one comes into us from Eric. Eric, welcome to the show. copinghoursubs@gmail.com. Spelled phonetically. Email available in the description wherever you listen to this program. Subject line is beef stew. Hey, Nick, I've been trying to find a way to word this email without sounding like too much of a Scrooge, so I hope I don't come off as bitter. I know Isaiah Stewart is a lot of people's guy, but as a Pistons fan, I just don't see it. I'm not an analytics guy, but I am very eye test oriented. But even defensively, I just don't see it. I know there's a lot more to it than this, but it seems like he gets commonly beaten matchups against other bigs when he guards them. The three has gotten better, but sometimes it's too much three for my taste. Too much standing around the three-point line. I get Duran on the floor, allows the spacing and all that, but it's just been too much sometimes. He could just disappear in games for quarters at a time just to hit a second three in the fourth quarter. What am I missing here? Is it just a he's our guy thing? Have the Pistons made me completely bitter and blinded about Stu given the circumstances of the last couple seasons? I don't know, but I'd like your input. Yeah, man, first of all, I do think the last point that you made, it is very easy to feel jaded about the direction of this team and then the players on the roster because of how the last two seasons have gone. I also would tell you that your feelings here are not uncommon, and that especially on Reddit, like people have been doing the is Isaiah Stewart the guy thing for a little bit. So this is all founded in reality, especially when you talk about the defense shit, because when the Pistons for so long, matter of fact, I got Basketball Reference pulled up here. Why don't I pull this up? So this was the first year that Detroit actually decided that Isaiah Stewart actually for sure, definitely, absolutely is a power forward. Because from his first season where he logged 100% of his minutes at the 5 to this previous one, his fourth season, where he's logging 3/4 of his minutes at the 4, Jesus, that feels good. Because to your point, like, it's a size thing, man. You can do it's almost like we kind of got to the small 5 thing like too late. And then by that point, there's like this revolution. Like now people want bigs again, but a lot of them are like more creative, both in their handling and their playmaking. And I think that's been hard for Stu to keep up with. But then it's also like, dog, you could put like Clint Capella in the post against him, and just through virtue of like mass, like Clint Capella might put his ass in the basket. Now that's not to say it's easy to push Isaiah Stewart around because he is that motherfucker. But it's you get what I'm saying? Like I'm putting Jaylen Brown on that dude 10 times out of 10. The amount of like Euro spin move bullshit dunking over the top of everybody that I've seen Giannis do on Isaiah Stewart. Sure, everybody, there's no shame in like getting Giannis, right? It happens to everybody, but it's those types of things that you're like, dude, you just can't put Isaiah Stewart out there. So the 3-ball thing, we had been hearing, since he got into the league, like, hey, watch out for when this dude starts shooting threes. And I think it was late in his rookie season that he really kind of started to put him up in like a semi-frequent way. His first 2 seasons, he's not even averaging a full attempt. And then by his third season, he's averaging 4. You're like, whoa. He goes from like none a game to 4 a game. And then this previous year was just under 4. But I think he also missed. Yeah, he's just missing. Jesus Christ. How many games is Isaiah Stewart missing? What the hell? Whoa. His first season, he played 68. His second season, he played 71. Third season, he played 50. And his last one, he only played 46. I don't remember him getting hurt this much. I remember him being hurt and out for like a while, but whoa. Is that something to keep an eye on? Is Isaiah Stewart not playing games? Uh-oh. Sorry, I'm being for real. I'm processing this in real time. Because this is kind of adding to like Because the other part of this that I think is interesting is if you're Detroit coming into this season, okay, you got JB Bickerstaff. That's pretty fun. You got a new coach. Love that. Also got Luke Walton on the bench. Pistons fans, do you guys remember that we fucking hired Luke Walton? He's your assistant coach. Luke Walton is one of your assistant coaches. Also, shout out to Sidney Lowe for coming back. But, okay, so JB Bickerstaff is the coach. And normally when you get somebody else's leftovers in the way that we did from Cleveland, like JB Bickerstaff was just a head coach. The same way that when we got Monty Williams, he was just a head coach. When we got Dwayne Casey, he was just a head coach. So what you like to do is you say, okay, so who was their previous team? What similarities are there between the roster? Can we start to predict on how they're going to start to plug and play certain players based on, like, you think, not to a 1-to-1, but okay, so Monty Williams comes from Phoenix, Devin Booker. It's like, okay, well, we have like Jaden Ivey. It's just not the same thing unless you're going to compare, unless you would rather do like Cade for that. See, okay, you kind of get what I'm trying to say here, but you just can't really do it with the Cavs because the rosters are just so different. Like, we can't really predict what he's going to want to do with Cade because Darius Garland was a completely different player. Like, not even just physically, but through the manner of which he played. And then at the 2, it's like Donovan Mitchell, Jaden Ivey. It's not the same thing. Sure, they can both go downhill, but and wreak havoc, but it's not A, on the same level, and B, also Donovan Mitchell's playmaking is light years ahead, which it should be. Of course, Donovan Mitchell's going to be a better player than Jaden Ivey, but you get what I'm saying. Okay, you can't really do it there. You going to do it at the 3? Who would that be? Fontecchio versus like Karis LeVert? Who am I forgetting for the Cavs? I don't know. I guess that's close. Isaiah Stewart versus like Evan Mobley. Like, that's not this. I guess, like, are you going to use it? I'd argue that Bobby Klintman is probably going to be let me get to that in just a second. The closest that you can get to actually figuring out, like, how is JB Bickerstaff going to use this guy is probably Jalen Duren versus Jarrett Allen. It's like, hey, man, just go out there and rim run, catch lobs, and block a bunch of shots. And then dust your hands and pass, go, and collect a $150 million contract extension. Great. All right. No notes. Cool. So we'll probably have a good idea of how they're going to use Jalen Duren. But the Isaiah Stewart piece of this is sneaky. Is Bobby Klintman like the... Is that who maybe Trajan Langdon likes a little bit more? Because as long as Troy Weaver was the general manager of the Detroit Pistons, Isaiah Stewart had a home in Detroit. He was never going to go anywhere. Doesn't really feel like that's the case now. We don't know. Again, we have no idea. We don't know how JB or Trajan feels about Stu. But then even more to that point, sure, man, we're only like about a month into the NBA's calendar year since free agency officially opened. So there's still some shakeups that could happen, but we are at that point of the offseason where it's pretty much it. Doesn't really feel like there's that Dame trade on the horizon, that's kind of holding everything up. Like, that's not really coming. Even if that was the Brandon Ingram trade, if that even ends up happening, which it sounds like that's over. It seems like that's not a thing anymore. Didn't somebody just put up a video the other day? It was like, I saw it in my YouTube recommended. It was like Brandon Ingram, the NBA superstar with no team, NBA star with no team, some bullshit like that. But I'm saying all this, sorry, just to say, Detroit just hasn't really done anything. And I'm not mad at them. I'm not mad at them because they were responsible with their cap space, and Trajan Langdon made some good deals. I'm not mad at that. But I did think that the roster was going to look more different. I did think that there was going to be like more of a shakeup, which there's two ways to look at this. One, they actually feel pretty good about what they have. They were like, no, Troy drafted like pretty well. There was just like some, fat that we needed to trim and some stuff on the margins here and there. But like the infrastructure is here. We just needed a coach who could actually make it work. All right, that's fair. Another way to look at this is like the right deal just hasn't materialized. I believe the Pistons have one final roster spot that they could do something with. And by no means do they need to use, every dollar, every penny of the cap space that they have. The smart thing to do, the responsible thing to do, is to let that roll into the season, right? You make those mid-season trades when people really start to get desperate. Hey man, we got some shit that we can absorb. Let us in on that 3-team deal. You know what I mean? Or you just let it roll into. So I would have thought that Isaiah Stewart would be somewhere else by now. And if it wasn't him, then I would have thought it was Jaden Ivey. And maybe just to kind of circle this back to the email here, it's like my take has been consistent with it's going to suck when it happens for Jaden Ivey somewhere else. As a Pistons fan, it's going to suck. And because I believe that's what's going to happen. He's going to go somewhere else and he's going to be awesome and it's going to suck. I feel decent about that take. I feel very good about that same take, but Isaiah Stewart. Because letting that guy go to be a contender's Naz Reid, right? And I get, Naz Reid was homegrown talent. Minnesota drafted him. But I'm just saying, in principle, it's probably maybe the closest that you could get comparison-wise, if that's your whole deal. Don't let that shit happen. It is not going to feel good. And some of it, at the tail end of the email, you were like, is it just is it just because, he's just kind of like our guy, that people like him? I know exactly what you mean by that. Yes. Yeah. Because when you think of quintessential embodiments of a Detroit Piston, what does that mean? Your brain's going to go to the Bill Lambiers and the Dennis Rodmans of the world. It's going to go to the Rasheed and Ben Wallaces of the world. So how about the guy that tried to kill LeBron? How about that? Like actually real life tried to kill LeBron James. How about that guy? I want him on my team. Because what's the dumbest case scenario? Let's get stupid. Let's get crazy. Let's get wild. And let's say a bunch of shit that we don't mean. If I'm Golden State and I said the band has broken up, it's over. Oh, man. Oh, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go there. I don't mean any of this. I'm totally going to say it, though, because it's funny. All right. I'm Mike Dunleavy, and I need to offload Draymond Green. We'll figure something out with Steph in just a minute, but we need to get Draymond somewhere else. And you're like, we need to jumpstart our team. Isaiah Stewart. We'll do Draymond Green for Isaiah Stewart. Draymond said on the Jeff Teague podcast, he's like, look, dude, if I'm going to get traded someday, which he doesn't want that to happen. He wants to be a Warrior for life. He's like, first of all, don't trade me to a bad team. Like, don't trade me to Charlotte. If you are going to trade me to a bad team, make sure it's Detroit. So that way, at least I'm home. At least from Saginaw, he's a Spartan dog. Like, let Draymond come home. Do right by him. He put on for your city for 10 plus years, right? Over them, 15 damn years. All right, so we get them. Let's get crazier. Then Mike Dunleavy is like, where can we send Steph? The irony here being Steph actually might go to Charlotte. Like that actually could be somewhere that he go. The truth is I think he would prefer to go somewhere where he could still contend. And the Charlotte thing would maybe happen as like a Tony Parker type of deal. You know what I mean? Where he's just like, not that Tony Parker's from Charlotte. I'm just saying at the very tail end of your career, you're just like there for a year. Okay, but where else would you trade Steph? Well, depending on how sick, nasty, and disgusting you want to get, the Cleveland Cavaliers would be kind of fun. Hold on. Because you guys remember in 2015, Cleveland Golden State, it's the first time that they're playing in the finals. And they keep fucking telling us, the viewer, LeBron James and Steph Curry, born in the same hospital. Can you believe that? All right. I know we say that Charlotte, North Carolina, that's home for Steph. How about the place he was actually born? Send his ass there. And then if you're Cleveland, it's like, if you're in the contingency of fans who just decided in the last 4 months that you hate Darius Garland and that he shouldn't be on the team, what if you traded Steph Curry for Darius Garland and stuff? And it's the same thing for the Draymond thing. Figure out all the shit on the margins. I don't care. But that's the foundation of the deal, right? So what if I set up here? So what's the web here? So Draymond is going to Detroit. Isaiah Stewart and Darius Garland are going to Golden State to jumpstart shit in the Bay. That's like the new squad and stuff, right? And stuff. And capital, whatever. And then Steph Curry goes to Cleveland. It's him, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, newly extended Evan Mobley, and then Jared Allen. I tell you what a fucking raw deal Detroit. that Detroit is getting in this one. What the hell? All of these teams get awesome stuff and like are happy. Cleveland's happy because their window is like, whoa, do we actually have a chance in the Eastern Conference now, potentially to actually just win a title straight up? Again, at the very least, though, to win a conference title? Hell yes. Golden State is like, yeah, man, like, we punted on the whole dynasty thing and the rings and shit, but it's time to, you know what, man, we got a good foundation here moving forward, and we got some picks in the cupboard, and we got some good solid players to, take us there. And then Detroit's like, we have Draymond Green. We have like 35-year-old Draymond Green who like is just always agitated. And I don't really even know what the hell Detroit would do with him, to be honest with you. But damn it if that's not a good deal. About you, Udovich, you take that deal? I don't blame you. Damn good deal. Huh? Does that answer your question? Is Isaiah Stewart that guy? I don't know. If you got Draymond Green for him. Pistons fan, I don't need to ask you guys how mad you are about that. How mad you would be about that, rather. I got to tell you, I don't know if I've truly, not in a pun way for the name of the show. I don't know if this is like a copium take. Fontecchio, I still believe, signed the most. No, the Andrew Nembhard extension beat it. Nope. Simone Fontecchio signed the second best contract this offseason. That Andrew Nembhard one. Let me try and see if I could find the details. Let's ask Siri. Fuck it. Let's ask Siri. No, Siri's listening to me talk. Hold on. Fuck. Siri and your racket. Hold on, folks. It all stays in the show. Andrew Nembhard contract extension.
On the 22nd of July, 2022.
No. I just want to fucking... was this in the... Please tell me me talking about Siri was in this part of the episode and not the part that got cut. Because what the fuck is that? I said, give me the contract extension. Dude, it was like 3 or 4 years. He's getting like $10 million a year. And my thing is, because Jacob, a.k.a. Rusty Buckets, was like, did he cash in too early on that deal? And like maybe he actually could have gotten some. My thing is like, dog, you just played the playoffs of your life if you're Andrew Nembhard. And you're like, you went from a dude who people either straight up don't know at all. People like kind of know, but they don't know. Like, they're just like, yeah, I know who that is. And you turned into fucking Robert Horry 2.0. Cash in. Get your bread, son. Love that contract for the Pacers. And then also James Johnson being like, shout out to the Pacers. I guess you guys are getting some love here. James Johnson signing another contract. So he's just the Udonis Haslem for the Pacers. That's fun. Udonis Haslem, James Johnson in a fight. Udonis Haslem isn't even making contact. The only thing he's making contact with is a fucking stretcher. Are you kidding me? James Johnson I would take James Johnson over LeBron, over Giannis. At the same time, by the way. No, I wouldn't do that. Cage match. Giannis Antetokounmpo and LeBron James duo against James Johnson. No, come on, dude. Don't do that. But he would beat each of them one-on-one, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, what do you say we wrap up today's show with a different kind of email? And before all of you hear that it's about Succession, give me just a minute here, because it's not technically about the show. Martinez here, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, is only just using the show as a... I just hit something on my computer, and I don't know if it stopped recording. I'm just going to talk through this while okay, it looks like we're good. I'm telling you, well, I guess I don't need to tell you right now that if this stops recording again, that I'm not uploading the show because you otherwise wouldn't hear it. And if you are hearing it, then the program did get uploaded. So copinghoursubs@gmail.com, spelled phonetically. Email available in the description wherever you listen to this program. Subject line here, a thought that I had about relationships after watching Succession. Hey, Nick, I email quite a bit, so I will keep this opening short. I just finished Succession. I know I'm a bit late to the party, but now that I've watched it, I find myself being totally enamored with the idea that this show conveys... I'm sorry, dude. I need to restart this email. Nope. I'm just going to power through it. Nope. No. Yeah, I'm going to restart. I just finished Succession. I know I'm a bit late to the party, but now that I've watched it, I find myself being totally enamored with the ideas that this show conveys, and most importantly, the relationships and characters that it portrays. I know you stray away from giving any possible spoilers on the show, so if this does end up being read, Yeah, okay. Tom and Shiv's dynamic is one of the most vivid and transparent interpretations of love and relationships that I've ever seen on television, and it raised a question for me internally. I initially found myself disgusted by the fact that I related to Tom and Shiv's relationship, and in many ways from relationships of my past and how I personally treated people closest to me. Recently, I started to think about that fact a little bit more critically. Not that I want to get into the details of my own relationships, however, I would be remiss not to mention the beauty that I find in Tom and Shiv's tumultuous relationship. They are both horrible, selfish people, no doubt. They have proven to each other repeatedly that they are both more than willing to sabotage or undermine the other in order to progress professionally. However, there are a few instances in the show where the inherent love they feel for each other prevails over all. I guess my question boils down to this. Do you feel like the parameters of love and what it represents is ultimately detrimental to us? No matter how many times a person may betray us or lie to us or put their interests ahead of our own, we still find grace in their atrocities and go to great lengths to forgive them and those who ultimately don't deserve forgiveness. How much should we listen to love? How do we know if love is pointing us in the right direction? Something to chew on, I suppose. You know, dude, I read this email 13 minutes after you originally sent it, and I started to write back to you, and I was like, I'm just going to read it on the show so I can just tell them then. It's one of my favorite emails because of a few specific lines that you wrote in there from a nuanced perspective. Not just because it was about Succession, which, by the way, if it's about Succession, I'm probably going to read it on the show. It's the greatest piece of monoculture that has ever been created. If I've said it once, I have said it a million times, and I will continue to do it. I think you nailed this. I think you nailed this to a point where, what do you need my perspective for, dude? You know what I mean? I think first of all, like narratively in terms of their relationship, I think you hit it right on the head. And I think for a very minor, really the only thing I'll say about their actual relationship in the show, the lightest of light spoilers here, the final arc, like the last time that we see them in the show, right? The conclusion of their arc, I think is maybe the most heart-wrenching moment in the show. And the most painful moment in the show because of how raw it was, how real it was. And to the emailer's point here, I think that is sort of the constant between them because my girlfriend and I started watching the show while we were technically separated. When I was in California and she was still here in Chicago, and things were pretty rocky. This was a couple years ago. Things were, rocky between us. And I think for me, and I'm sure if I asked her, it would be the same for her. It was hard to watch the show because you watch the shit that they did to each other and what they said to each other. And again, to the emailer's point, you identified yourself in a lot of those moments. And whether you realized it or not, you were like, whoa, I didn't realize that's sort of what we were doing. And that's how we seemed. And that's how we looked. Something I want to point out in here that you said is no matter how many times a person may betray us or lie to us or put their interests ahead of our own, we still find grace in their atrocities and go to great lengths to forgive those who ultimately don't deserve forgiveness. Damn, dude. I mean, my girlfriend and I have been together. This will be 10 years. She is the only person that I've ever known. And, what comes with that is she's been with me through like all of my phases, all of them, all the bad ones too, right? So on both ends, there's been in 10 years a lot of moments where we've had to pause and be like, how are we supposed to get over this? Hell, dude, I mentioned in the last episode that I am harsh and unforgiving to a fault, right? It's hard for me to get over shit. And in a lot of ways, because of stuff that I've done in the past, it's been hard for her to get over shit. But I don't know how to phrase this other than just saying like it's her, at the end of the day, no matter what it is that we're dealing with. From my end, I'm just like, even if I'm super fired up about something and I don't think I'm ever going to get over it and whatever it is, it's time that heals it. I get over it. And just through virtue of her being, who she is. And by the way, I'm only speaking through the lens of like, I guess it maybe this is a moment where I should get on here and be like, I'm not saying I'm going to say all the bad shit that I've done, but I'm just saying, like if I'm the one who is like the victim in a situation. Like the way that I get through it and that I persevere through it is just like, it's just her, man. And the part that I think I would ever struggle to give someone advice on is like, well, how are you supposed to know that it's time to just depart, right? Because what I would say to that person is, as soon as you start to question if it's affecting your health mentally in a way that like you can't even function, but I've been there and she's been there too, right? And like we're still here. But it's not in like a toxic way, in the way that it is with like Tom and Shiv. It's almost just like we just fuck up sometimes because, yeah, dude, like we've been together since we were 16 years old, which means we were together at 19 years old when we were stupid. And then we were still together at 22 when we were stupid. And then at 24 when we were, you know what I mean? Like you just grow together in so many different ways. And in some ways, it's that the comfort of like familiarity, I think. And I don't think that's not a good reason to stay with somebody, is just because that's your routine and that's the only person that you've known. That's not what I'm trying to say. But I do think that allowing yourselves to grow through some really hard shit has led to some of the more rewarding moments of our relationship, probably in the last year specifically. I think like things have just been dynamite. Like Puerto Rico, when we went there last December, was like, and I don't use this word a lot because I don't truthfully, like, this just isn't really the dynamic of our relationship. It was romantic as hell. Like, it was awesome. Like, it just ruled. It was just awesome to be there with her. And for me, no matter how upset we could get at each other, what I know is I'm at a point in my life where, for example, Jacob, a.k.a. Rusty Buckets, and producer extraordinaire Rudy St. Clair were here in Chicago during the eclipse. You guys remember that, when the eclipse was going on? Her and I didn't watch the eclipse together. She was at work, and I was with Jacob and Rudy. That crushed me. That fucking crushed me that I was experiencing something major, but it wasn't with her. And it's not that, like, I don't mean that in a way that, like, it's like separation anxiety. It's not like that. It's just like, you're the only person that I want to experience this shit with, you know, because whether it's like the comments that I make, the jokes, whatever it is, the observations, like, there's just a level, there's a connection there that she will know exactly what I mean, and she will know exactly how to respond to it, you know? And so I remember, dog, we were sitting, like, the three of us were like stoned, sitting on this, on the ground of this like museum watching the eclipse. And I'm sorry, Jacob and Rudy, dog, we had a blast. We had a fucking blast. I'm not mad that I was with them, but it's the sake of the email, right? And I sent her a text, and I was like, I don't want to do this shit without you. Like, I only want to be with you, right? And even if we were in the middle of the biggest fight of our lives, I would have felt that at the moment, you know? And that's just how I know. Even like the day before, the three of us, again, went to a Cubs-Dodgers game, and we saw Shohei Ohtani. She doesn't care. Like, if it was free and she didn't have to go that far out of the way, like, she would go to a game where she could see Shohei Ohtani, if you know what I mean. So even though I knew she wouldn't care, though, I was just like, but I want her to be here because this means a lot to me. And again, Rudy, Jacob, I had a fucking awesome weekend with you guys. It's not about you guys, but again, when I'm having those experiences, even if it wouldn't mean as much to her, it still matters to me that she's there to experience it with me. You know what I mean? And I don't really know if I think I maybe strayed a little bit from the intent of the email, but I say all of that to say, like, if those are the feelings that you have about somebody, it's worth persevering. You know, it's worth traversing the peaks and valleys. So thank you very much for the email there, dude. Because again, it's just Succession. It's the greatest. If I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. Fuck, did I already say this? I don't remember. It's the greatest piece of monoculture ever. You know, 4 seasons of the industrial media complex and the members of higher society that pull levers and make consequential decisions influenced by greed that you would otherwise never know affects you in the way that it does. I love that shit so much. But alrighty, folks, while we start to wrap up today's show, trying to rack my brain, I got to tell you, we're going to wrap up. I did not have diarrhea earlier. I got to say that again. Do not think that you can go down to the comments and say, Nick, you said if there was a cut in the show that meant that you were having diarrhea. Don't fucking do it. It's fake news. Find a new fucking slant. That is not what happened. If I did have diarrhea, I would have been transparent about it. That is not what happened. Do not go down to the comments and be like, ha, 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 diarrhea boy. Don't fucking do that. You're not getting a diarrhea boy shirt. That shit is not funny. Actually, as a matter of fact, can I tell you how honest I would be if I was having diarrhea earlier in today's show, which is not what happened. The mic just wasn't on, and I had to redo the entire fucking show. Hey, ladies and non-gender conforming individuals who listen to the Coping Hour, you can still listen, but I'm going to talk to the fellas for a second. Is that okay? All right. And women and non-gender conforming listeners of the Coping Hour, I do realize that you also have diarrhea, but I want to talk to the boys about this for a second, right? So it's last night, and I just couldn't sleep, so I popped some mercury, and it just fucked with my brain. Not mercury, it's magnesium. And my stomach, because I just haven't been eating lately, I just constantly have stomach aches, but there's nothing to digest except stomach acid. So between the hours of 10:30 and 1 o'clock in the morning, every 15 minutes, I'm getting up and something's just squirting out, right? And it's hot and it's raw. I'm in pain. I got butt ass naked because I was sweating so much. And even the fabric of my shorts, I was like, I can't fucking take this right now. My arms are around my knees. I'm praying to God that it stops, right? It's that even when it's done, first of all, wiping is how am I even, you know that feeling when you're just I can't even wipe. It hurts so bad. Then I eventually, this is American ingenuity at its finest. I just took toilet paper and I just put it under the faucet, and then I was like, it'll be cold, and then I just skin to skin, and it's boom, and all right, it's all right, okay, that's not that bad. But then you get up and you can't even walk, and then you can't even lay down because you're just you're just all clenched, but you can't be clenched because you're on fire. So that was me for 3 hours last night, and then for dinner I was 2 hot dogs, Arby's fries, and a Coors Light. Surely that won't be. But I didn't have diarrhea. That's not what happened. That's not what happened. Just clearly it's not, because I just was honest with you guys about what happened to me last night. This was less than 24 hours ago. If I had diarrhea in the middle of this show, you would have known. It would have been obvious. There would have been stink lines on it would have been. That's not to say I just would have done it right here. I would have gone to the bathroom. I'm not a fucking ape. But I'm just saying, I wouldn't lie to you guys about that. So please take my word for it. All right. Okay. If you are listening to this on Spotify, be sure to rate 5 stars. If you are listening to this on YouTube, be sure to leave a like, subscribe. Nice little comment for the algorithm. Make sure to keep primary control in check. Beautiful, beautiful. I will catch you guys in the next one.
Beautiful, beautiful. Primary control. Beautiful. Primary control. Beautiful. Primary control.